My dad texted me at 2 in the morning, a message I hadn't seen in a year. We need to talk. But the last time he spoke to me was on my graduation when he handed me a box with a one-way bus ticket inside and said, "Good luck out there." My sister laughed. I hugged my mom and walked away without a word. They had no idea I was the youngest co-founder of a $40 million tech company. A week after my face hit national TV, my family showed up at my company's door. But the real shock wasn't that they came back. It was what they brought with them. My name is Lena Hart, and for most of my life I learned how to make myself small inside my own family. Not because I wanted to disappear, but because disappearing was usually the safest option. If you grew up with a dad like Robert Hart, you'd understand. He loved control the way some people love coffee daily, unquestioned, and taken for granted. He used to tell me that computers were a hobby, not a future. That security work was nonsense. That I should find something practical like my younger sister Maya, who somehow managed to be perfect simply by existing. She's 2 years younger than me, all sunshine and charm, the kind of daughter my dad bragged about at neighborhood barbecues. And honestly, for a long time, I didn't blame her for fitting so easily into a world that rejected me. My mom, Elise, tried to bridge the gap. She's gentle, soft-spoken, the kind of woman who apologizes for taking up air. She loved me quietly, almost secretly, but she'd lived under my father's rules for so long that asking her to stand up for me felt like asking the wind to hold its shape. Our house in Seattle looked perfect from the outside, fresh paint-trimmed hedges, wide windows catching the morning sun, but inside it always felt a little cold. Conversations tiptoed around my dad's moods. Achievements were measured against Maya's shining path, and my own ambitions. They were treated like a phase I would eventually outgrow. So I worked late nights, long hours, every part-time job or lab shift I could pick up, anything that kept me moving forward without needing their approval. That's how I met Ethan Cole, my closest friend, and the only person who treated my mind like it mattered. He's my age, brilliant in the kind of way that makes people nervous, and the first one who said something like, "Lena, you know you're building something real, right?" He understood me long before anyone else tried. Still, I never told my family about the startup Ethan and I were building in Denver. Not the long nights, not the early breakthroughs, not the investors, not the moment someone valued our work at $40 million. They didn't know because I didn't offer the information and because they never asked. That summer, as graduation approached, I kept hoping maybe this time would be different. Maybe they'd show up early. Maybe they'd look at me and see someone worth celebrating. Maybe for once I wouldn't feel like a guest in my own family. But people like my dad don't change in a single season. And on the morning of my graduation, I was about to learn just how far he'd go to remind me of my place. Graduation morning looked like a postcard sunlight spilling over the quad purple gowns, fluttering in the breeze, families carrying flowers big enough to hide behind. I remember clutching my cap so tightly my knuckles went white. Everyone around me buzzed with pride, joy, celebration. I kept scanning the crowd, telling myself they were just running late, that maybe this time my family would surprise me. They didn't. They walked up 15 minutes after the ceremony should have started my dad in front shoulders stiff like he had better places to be, my mom trailing behind him giving me a soft, apologetic smile. Maya clicking across the pavement in heels like she was arriving at a photo shoot. She took off her sunglasses and looked me up and down with a grin that wasn't quite friendly. They didn't bring flowers, they didn't bring a card, not even a, "We're proud of you." Dad glanced at me and said, "Stand straighter for the photos." No hello, no warmth, just a directive. And stupidly, I still wanted it to mean something. I still wanted the picture to be proof that maybe deep down there was a version of us where I belonged. After the ceremony, I watched students fall into their parents' arms, cry into bouquets, shout with joy. I watched a father scoop his daughter off the ground and spin her. A mother pressed a letter into her son's hands, telling him she'd kept it for this day. Everywhere around me, pride was loud and unashamed. Then my dad called out, "Lena, over here." I walked toward him, trying to steady the hope inside me. He handed me a box, light, small, wrapped in plain brown paper. "Open it," he said. I peeled back the paper, lifted the lid, and felt the air leave my lungs. A one-way bus ticket, Seattle to Denver, departing that night. What? What is this? My voice barely worked. Dad crossed his arms. It's time for you to stand on your own 2 feet. You're 27. This house isn't a hotel. Maya laughed sharp and delighted. A one-way ticket. Wow, that's bold. I swallowed hard. I didn't argue. Not because he was right, but because I learned years ago that arguing with him only made things worse. He'd get louder, crueler, and I'd end up feeling smaller than I already did. Mom stepped forward, her fingers brushing my arm. Sweetheart, maybe this will be good for you. Her voice trembled like she wanted to say more, but didn't dare. I hugged her, really hugged her. And for a moment, she held me like she knew this wasn't just a trip. It was a break. Dad cleared his throat, and she let go. I nodded. Okay. The final surrender I would ever give them. I walked away from them through crowds of laughing families carrying nothing but my gown, my diploma, and that ticket. Maya's laughter followed me like a stain on the air. Dad didn't call after me. Mom didn't run. They watched me leave as if I were luggage they'd finally sent on its way. But the thing is, they thought they were pushing me out of their world. They didn't know I'd been building a new one without them, and that bus ticket meant to exile me was about to deliver me straight into the life they never imagined I could have. The bus pulled out of Seattle just as the sky softened into that pale gold that always made the city look gentler than it really was. I sat by the window, my gown folded across my lap, the box with the ticket tucked deep in my backpack, like a reminder of what I was leaving behind. For the first hour, I stared at the passing trees without really seeing them. My chest felt tight, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't grief. It wasn't panic. It was release. Slow, quiet, surprising. Somewhere between Olympia and the Oregon border, my phone buzzed. Ethan, my closest friend, my co-founder, the only person who knew who I truly was. "Where are you?" his message read. "Please tell me you didn't stay with them after everything." I hesitated before typing back. "On a bus, headed to Denver. Long story. I'll explain tonight." 3 dots appeared instantly. "A bus, Lena." What happened? I stared at the screen, my throat tightening. I almost told him everything. The box, the laughter, the exile disguised as tough love, but the words wouldn't come. Not yet. "I'm okay," I finally sent. "Just give me a few hours." When the bus lights dimmed and the cabin grew quiet, a strange truth settled in my bones. I wasn't heading into uncertainty. I was heading home. Denver had been my secret life for 3 years. Long nights building prototypes, coded systems that caught the attention of major institutions' meetings with investors who believed in us before anyone else did. The valuation, the traction, the team of 40 brilliant people who trusted me, and my family had no idea. The next 12 hours blurred by highway lights, gas station stops, strangers sleeping with their heads against windows. But the moment the bus rolled into Denver, fatigue cracked open into something else: anticipation. Ethan was waiting for me in the station parking lot, hands shoved into his hoodie pockets, curls messy like he'd run his hands through them too many times. When he saw me with just one backpack, his face tightened. "This is all you brought?" he asked. I forced a laugh. "It's enough." His jaw set with quiet anger on my behalf, not at me. But he didn't push. "Come on," he said gently. "Let's go home." The drive through downtown felt unreal. Neon reflections slid across the windshield. Denver buzzed with late-night energy, alive in a way Seattle never felt to me. But nothing hit harder than the sight of the tower, the building I had helped design. Blue-black glass rising into the night floors, glowing like constellations. Our tower. When we stepped into the elevator, Ethan gave me a sideways glance. "There's something we need to do before you crash." "What?" The elevator doors opened on the 15th floor. Lights exploded. Confetti cannons popped. Cheers erupted. Someone yelled, "She's here!" 40 people rushed toward me with a graduation crown, sunflowers, a cake shaped like a computer chip. Warmth flooded my chest so fast it hurt. For the first time in my life, celebration didn't feel foreign. It felt deserved. Ethan leaned close and whispered, Thought it was time someone gave you the graduation you earned. I swallowed hard. Thank you. I. No one has ever done this for me. Get used to it, he said. But later that night, after everyone left and the music faded, I found myself staring at the Denver skyline from the balcony of my apartment. The wind brushed my hair, the city glowed below, and my phone lit up again. My dad. A new message. Short, cold. Where are you staying? We need to talk. The man who handed me a one-way bus ticket was now asking questions like he had a claim on me. I didn't answer, not yet, but the shift inside me, the line I was drawing, was already starting to deepen. 2 days after the team surprised me, Denver felt different, sharper, louder humming, with a kind of pressure I couldn't shake. Our reveal event was approaching fast. Sentinel, the system Ethan and I had been quietly building for years, was finally going public. Government agencies were already circling. Journalists were sending request after request. Investors wanted meetings. It felt like standing on the edge of a wave about to break. But the real storm was coming from Seattle. My dad had messaged again, then Maya. Then numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored all of them. But when my mom called her name, glowing softly across my phone screen, I froze. Ignoring my dad was easy. Ignoring Maya was easier. But my mom. Her silence had been a wound all my life, but her voice had always been the one soft place in that house. I answered. The second the line opened, I heard her crying. Not the sharp, guilt-laced crying my dad used to weaponize, but the small, breaking sobs of someone carrying too much. Lena, are you safe? Her voice shook. My throat tightened. I'm fine, Mom. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath all day. Your father is pretending not to be worried, but I know he is. I didn't respond. I didn't get to hug you properly. You left so fast. I don't know if we handled things the way we should have. You don't say I thought, but all I said was I'm okay. She hesitated. Are you staying with someone? Do you have a place? Do you need money? I have some saved. My chest cracked. She was offering what little she had not, because she believed I needed it, but because caring for me in secret was the only rebellion her marriage allowed. I'm working, Mom, I said gently. On what I stared at my office chair, the tower, the glass walls, the plans for our nation-scale security rollout taped across the board. Something important, I said, avoiding the truth she wouldn't know how to hold. Silence stretched. I could almost feel her wanting to ask everything where I was, what I'd built, why I'd hidden so much. But she didn't ask. She never did. Years of living under my father had taught her to let questions die before they made noise. Finally, she whispered, I'm just glad you're safe. I swallowed the ache rising in my chest. I am. Call me soon, I will. I hung up, pressed the phone to my forehead, and let myself breathe. Loving her hurt, leaving her hurt, but staying would have destroyed me. And then came the reveal. Denver Convention Hall buzzed like a beehive. Cameras flashed, screens looped promo visuals of our system. Security analysts, government representatives, and journalists filled the seats. The anticipation felt thick enough to touch. Ethan went up first. His voice was steady as he laid the groundwork. The stakes, the vulnerabilities, the innovation. And now, he said, pausing as the lights dimmed the architect behind Sentinel. The LED screen behind him went black, then burst alive in white. Letters formed one by one. Lena Hart, co-founder and lead architect. The spotlight snapped onto me. For a split second, the world held its breath. Then everything exploded. Cameras, applause, whispers, recognition. I stepped onto the stage, Hart's steady voice, stronger than I expected. Good morning. My name is Lena Hart. I spoke about infrastructure, protection, responsibility, how innovation meant nothing without integrity behind it. When I finished, the applause wasn't just loud, it was reverent. The moment I stepped off stage, my phone began vibrating nonstop. I almost ignored it habit, but something in me cracked. After everything, I wanted to see exactly what Seattle looked like when the facade finally fell. Dad's first message, come home immediately. We need to talk. We are still your family. Then, Maya Lena, please answer. I didn't know you were doing anything that big. I'm proud of you, I swear. Proud. From the girl who laughed when Dad handed me a one-way ticket. But before I could process any of it, Ethan appeared in the doorway, eyes tense. Lena, you need to come downstairs. My stomach dropped. Why? He hesitated. Your family is here. I felt the world tilt. Here, in the tower. We tried to stop them. They pushed past security. The elevator ride down felt endless. When the doors opened, the sight punched the breath out of me. My dad stood in the center of the lobby, arms crossed like he owned the place. Maya hovered behind him, mascara smudged. My mom stood slightly back, clutching her purse, eyes red from crying. Employees whispered. Security watched from a distance. The polished marble floor made every emotion sharper. My dad's voice cut the air first. Lena, we need to talk as a family. I didn't move. I don't think we do. His jaw tightened. We raised you. You owe us the courtesy of a conversation. There it was, ownership disguised as love. I stepped closer, my voice steady. I don't owe you anything except the truth. And the truth is simple, I'm done being controlled. Maya burst out, voice shaking. I'm sorry, Lena. I was jealous. Dad always expected me to shine when you dimmed. I went along with it. I know it hurt you. I was awful. I stared at her. The words hit harder than I expected, not because they healed anything, but because they finally named what I'd always known. She whispered, I don't expect forgiveness. I nodded slowly. I do forgive you, but that doesn't mean I'm coming back. Dad's face flushed. This is ridiculous. You are part of this family, whether you like it or not. My mom stepped forward, voice barely a whisper, but stronger than I'd ever heard it. Frank, let her go. We haven't been a safe place for her in a long time. Dad stared at her like she'd betrayed him, but she hadn't. She'd finally told the truth. He shook his head, turned on his heel, and walked out. Maya followed. Mom touched my hand just once, then left with them. The glass doors shut behind them. Ethan stepped beside me. Are you okay? I stared at my reflection in the glass, older, steadier, finally free. Yes, I said. For the first time. Yes. The lobby emptied slowly, leaving only the quiet hum of the vents and the faint echo of their departure. I spent the next weeks rebuilding myself in ways my family would never understand. I moved into a penthouse overlooking Denver's skyline, sunlight pouring across the floors each morning like a soft reminder that I had survived something heavy. I started therapy not because I was broken, but because I was finally safe enough to unpack the years that had broken me. Our company grew faster than any forecast. Government contracts, national attention, stability I built with my own hands. One crisp morning, a letter arrived from Seattle, my mom's handwriting. Just one line inside, I'm proud of the woman you chose to become. For once, it didn't hurt. It healed. I kept that letter in a small wooden box on my balcony, where the mountains fade into dusk every night. My past didn't vanish, but it stopped steering my life. I finally understood that love without safety isn't love at all, and walking away wasn't betrayal, it was survival. If any part of my story mirrors yours, share it below. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe so you don't miss the next one.